You're watching Power Nation. Engine power is back on our 509 cubic inch W Series build, and today we are getting this engine sealed up and wrapped up to head to the dyno.
We've got a lot to finish up, including the modified oiling system, ported induction package, and a sweet EFI kit, before we can throw the handle and see what kind of numbers this vintage looking power plant can produce. Hey everyone, welcome to another awesome episode of Engine Power, because today we are back on our 509 cubic inch W Series engine. This is an all aluminum hot rod engine that we are building, and we are right in the middle of this. It's going extremely well. We have the short block done, but today we're gonna get this thing wrapped up with a bunch of cool parts and get it on the dyno.
We have a lot of cool stuff to put on this thing. We have induction, ignition, EFI, all kinds of good things. We're gonna get it all in, wrapped up, and test it on the dyno. But first, we have a lot of work to do, and to see how we got it to this part right here, check this out. The base of this build is a Bill Mitchell Products all-aluminum W Series block, which has an improved architecture, uses a host of standard big block Chevy parts, and was bored for a 4/500 final bore size by Shacklet Automotive Machine here in Nashville. After doing some simple and easy block prep and deburring, we set the main and rod bearing clearances for our application with high performance bearings, and then moved on to balancing the rotating assembly on our CWT Multi-Bell 5500.
Because of the larger bob weight, we switched the engine to external balance, and using a cutoff wheel and grinder, we were able to get our rotating assembly down to an extremely low imbalance tolerance without drilling any holes. After final cleaning everything, we started assembly with the 4-inch stroke scat crankshaft. Our custom ground billet 4/7 swap comp hydraulic roller camshaft went in next, with durations at 50 thousandths lift of 237 on the intake and 255 on the exhaust, while the lobes are set on a 114-degree lobe separation angle, and the valve lift is 672 and 678 respectively. The camshaft's intake centerline was set 7.5 degrees advanced at 106.5, and then the scat H-beam rods, Racetech pistons, and total seal rings were assembled and installed to round out part 1.
Today we are starting out by sealing up the front end, so a gasket and some RTV make its way to the Summit Racing polished big block Chevy timing cover. We'll also install a Summit billet adjustable timing pointer for our 8-inch damper, so we can accurately set true TDC with our timing marks. We are in a good spot. We have the front end of the engine all sewed up, so now it's time to put on the harmonic balancer and set our true TDC. Now we are going to be using a new 8-inch Fluidampr. What we love about Fluidampr is the technology they put into canceling vibration. This contains a viscous fluid, and that cancels out a wider range of harmonics that are potentially damaging to the engine. Now, elastomer balancers work the same way, but that elastomer has to be rebuilt at some point. If this still has fluid in it and it's sealed up, it is still working. Now, this one is for our external assembly. The hub comes off, and we balanced it with the crank. Fluidampr also does a great job at setting its press. These are a little over 1,000ths press. Too much, it's hard to get on. Too little, it's not going to do its job. So we're going to get this thing on and get it set up. Always install a harmonic damper with a proper installation tool, not a hammer or heat. If the press is set correctly, the damper should go on smoothly with the right tool and can be bottomed out against the crank gear. Then we can use a deck bridge with a dial indicator to set up true TDC between our pointer and the damper for accurate ignition timing adjustments.
With the engine flipped over, we can drop on a milling high-volume oil pump with a shimmed release spring, along with a Mildon pickup. An ARP stud secures it and is torqued to 65 pound-feet. Beads of RTV are placed at the corners of the pan rails and the parting lines between the parts before a Summit Racing one-piece oil pan gasket is laid into place. The pump pickup matches this Mildon big block Chevy oil pan for Chevy passenger cars, and it can go right on since we already verified pickup to pan clearance. It is tightened down to the compression stops with an ARP stainless steel oil pan bolt set.
Now that the bottom end is sealed up, we can splash some assembly oil onto the lifter bores, and then these LS tie bar evolution lifters from Comp Cams can slide in. These are a cartridge-style hydraulic roller lifter for tighter tolerances, and this block is designed to use the LS-style lifters for proper spacing and oil band clearance. You can install these lifters after the head, but we thought it would be easier if they went in first. These custom-made head gaskets from Cometic are W Series specific and have a 4.520 bore with a tight 27 thousandths compressed thickness, and they are multi-layer steel design for improved sealing.
The heads are Edelbrock aluminum castings from Summit Racing Equipment, which are already a huge improvement over the stock ones. But for this big displacement build, we decided we needed more. So we reached out to the 409 experts, Lamar Walden Automotive, and put them through their porting service that ups the intake flow around 70 CFM, perfect for high-performance builds like this one. The ARP head studs that clamp them down are torqued in 3 stages from the inside out to 80 pound-feet. If you notice, we removed the rocker studs when installing the heads, and the rocker studs that were actually supplied with the heads we noticed were a bit short on thread engagement with the polylock when we were checking for pushrod length. So we have a brand new set from ARP. These are their Pro Series rocker studs, so they are made from 8740 chrome moly material. These have a tensile strength of around 190,000 PSI, so an extremely strong fastener. They have the correct effective length at 2-inch 100 thousandths, and they even have a really cool feature that ARP designed where they have a very large radius right above the hex here, and that helps improve the strength of the fastener and reduce deflection because we don't want that being introduced into the valve train. Now, if you're going to install these where the threads go into the intake port, you want to make sure you use their thread sealer on the coarse threads, but in our application we have blind holes completely, so we're going to use their ARP Ultra Torque fastener assembly lubricant, get these prepped, and get them installed with our guide plates.
The rocker studs are threaded into the head with the guide plates in place, and then after setting the plates positioned to center up the rocker tips on the valve stems, the studs are snugged down and then torqued to ARP spec of 45 pound-feet. The push rods are a 3/8 design from TrickFlow and are specific lengths for proper rocker arm geometry, with the intakes at 8.250 long and the exhaust being 8.600 long. The rockers are a set of CompCam's Big Block Chevy Pro Magnum 1.7 ratio steel rockers, and the lifter preload is set to 1/2 turn past 0 lash on the polylocks. They are installed on each cylinder at TDC in the following firing order, which is 18736542 with our cam. We are all about horsepower, so next up we take a deep dive into one of the most powerful motorsports vehicles there is, a multi-engine pulling tractor.
Steve Bunnage brings his super modified tractor in so we can check out how 4 engines, 2,100 cubic inches, and 10,000 horsepower comes together and heads down the track.
So what is better than one 526-inch alcohol blown Hemi?
4
of them.
We're talking about thousands of horsepower.
Thousands. Steve, Pat Topolinsky.
Thanks for coming in, Steve.
Thanks for having me.
We've wanted to get one of these in the shop for I don't know how long.
We have literally
been
been trying to do this for a long time, and we're so happy you got this thing squeezed in here. We can't wait to hear about it. So.
Yeah, it was a tight fit, but I'm glad to get it down here with Hot Shot Secret. They asked me to come down to help them out, and I'm very privileged to do it. Okay,
so tell us a little bit about the legacy. Now you are obviously you've been involved in tractor pulling a long time. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, my dad, he started back in the 70s. It's been about 50 some years. He started out with 2 motors, and he ended up at the very last, in the front of the tractor there, he built one with 8 carburetor motors on it.
That is the coolest picture I've seen on a tractor ever. These are alcohol-blown Hemis, 526 inches. Tell us all about and why you have 4.
Well, the 4 is because of the class.
Okay.
You can run 4 with 871 blowers on it, or you can put bigger chargers on it in the class I run, or if you can make weight, you can put 5. But the motors are, they're Sassy's SRE racing motors from John Card and SSI superchargers. It's on a new chassis. This is the 10th edition of the Takes the Lickin'. Tim Engler built this chassis. He built the gearboxes, and then we built this one here in 2023 and everything.
I know you're in town for an event here in Tennessee in Chapel Hill, so what classes do you run with this tractor?
Mostly this is a modified because it's the 871 blowers and stuff. I usually run the Grand National mod class or the Hot Shot Secret Pro Pulling League with 4 motors. You can run 4 motors with 8s, or you run 3 with 14s. This weekend is the NT8 Unlimited class, and you can take it and run, well, whatever you can make weight. You know, you can run screws, you can run 5 motors, you can whatever you can put in it, as long as you weigh under 8,000 pounds, you can't go over 8. It's competitive. I mean, I won't go out and dominate because I'm low on horsepower, but sometimes the track's in my favor too, so I can always sneak up and get half class maybe.
Well, low horsepower is kind of a relative number because how much power do one of these make a piece?
One of these making 2,500 piece, 2,500 horses,
okay.
10,000 total.
Okay.
The ones that got the bigger chargers on it, they'll make 12,000 or a little more than that.
Wow.
So sometimes it's not all horsepower, it's a gear ratio and tire situation to hook to the track.
What size are these tires? Like, what's the actual dimensions on them, and where the heck do you get them?
They started out a long time ago just ag tires with big long lugs on them, and they cut them down. Nowadays, companies like Mitas, they actually make them for pulling. They are a Chevron cut. They got very little, no tread on them, and you can cut any tread you want. They're a 30.5 tire. And they make them more, not just for this, they make them for other classes too.
Something that size, I mean, the wheel speed, I'm sure, on something like this, when you're trying to make a pull and you're going down, you might not be, moving relatively that fast, but the wheel speed on these things is crazy.
Yeah, if you have a good run, you're probably running 30 to 35 miles an hour mid-track, but the tires are spinning 150.
That's a lot of speed for you to be less than a foot from them,
yeah, that's why you got all that protection on there. Hope everything stays where it's supposed to be.
You guys obviously are at the extreme of horsepower levels and loads and things like that. And so that partnership with Hot Shots is probably critical to make sure that your stuff is living and you can run it 25 passes a year or more.
Yeah, they're good with it. When they took it and when I got them, I talked to them, you're good stuff. I said, let's try it, And the first pass down the track, I told them, I said, well, we'll find out. If the motor stays together, we know it's all good because I ain't changed oil for 20-some years, and it works. A lot of the stuff is over-the-road trucks and stuff, and it's a proven fact. I mean, we use it in our truck going on the hauler, coming up and down the road here, hauling this tractor around, and it's actually beneficial, and it helps mileage, and it helps the injectors, and it runs better.
Agriculture equipment included.
We put it in our sprayer and our combines and tractors like that. So it's for anything. It's just not for over the road, and it's not for motorsports. I mean, this everyday treatment, it's for anything with a diesel motor on it, it will work.
Steve, we really appreciate you bringing this in. We're hoping to see you do some good pulls this weekend down at the Chapel Hill.
Appreciate it, thank you.
We'll be rooting for you in the stands.
Well, like I said, I might be low horsepower, but like the name, takes a licking. Dad's tractor was called Keeps On Ticking, and everybody said, what do you name that for? He said, well, I never give up. It might take a licking, but he keeps on going, so.
Man, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we wrap up this vintage-looking but high-tech W Series and see what it makes on the dyno. We are getting dangerously close to getting this W Series onto the dyno, and after we laid out a small bead of RTV on the china walls with the Edelbrock intake gaskets, we can set the dual quad intake manifold into place. This was also expertly ported by Lamar Walden Automotive and is tightened down with a full set of beautiful ARP stainless bolts.
After pre-lubing the valve train with spray lube, these Edelbrock finned aluminum 409 valve covers can go on with ARP studs and be tightened down. Then we can move on to the front end, which is a good-looking but simple setup we got from Summit Racing. It is a chrome V-belt pulley system for a conventional big block Chevy, but we are using a W Series Edelbrock water pump with some handmade 3/16" spacers for proper alignment.
Our front drive is looking really good, but it is pretty Spartan, and that is by design. So the next thing we need is a way to charge the battery. So we went down to AutoZone and picked up a brand new Duralast Gold alternator. This is really nice because it is made of 100% new parts, and it is triple tested when it is being put together. Now, this is for a hot rod, so it simply have one hot wire running from the back of the alternator to the battery system. Duralast engineers their alternators to meet or exceed OEM standards, and that means fit, finish, and most importantly, performance. This is a 94 amp one-wire alternator. And the coolest thing about this, it is fully chrome, so it matches our front pulleys. So we're gonna get this on and then get some belts on, which I think are coming later. The alternator is mounted with a Summit billet bracket kit for a conventional big block Chevy that rigidly mounts it off the front of the block and has a hex turnbuckle for easy belt tensioning.
All right, we have our 509 set up in the dyno cell, and she's looking fine. So now it's time to show you how we're gonna bring this engine to the 21st century, and that is with FiTech's Go EFI 2x4 throttle body fuel injection system. This is awesome. We've ran this before on another vintage build, our FE. Quick specs for you. It has 2 throttle bodies that flow 1700 CFM. We have a master that has our ECU and sensors and everything in it. And then we have basically an air valve with a set of injectors. So we have 8 injectors total, which is enough for around 625 horsepower. It comes with all the harnesses and everything you need, including the handheld that we can use to set up all our initial programming and do adjustments to our tune-up later on. We're going to pair that with their complete ignition system, including their adjustable big block Chevy distributor with dual magnetic pickups, their Go Spark capacitive discharge ignition box, which not only runs the coil, but has a bunch of cool features, and we are pairing that with their matching FiTech coil. So there's a lot of stuff to get installed and set up, so we're going to get started. The FiTech throttle bodies, they go right on without any modification, as long as we put the master in the rear for wiring clearance. The throttles are connected by a Summit adjustable throttle rod, which will allow us to easily sync the units after startup.
The main unit houses most of the sensors, so only one sensor that is needed to be installed is the coolant temp sensor, and it comes with a 3/8 to 1/2 inch NPT reducer to fit our intake. The locked out FiTech distributor for a conventional big block Chevy can drop in next with this custom spacer we made to make the collar height work. Once it's set and snugged down, the cap and custom FiTech ceramic boot wires can be snapped on, and we are ready to fire this baby up.
Coming up, we have our Monster W Series on the dyno. We're gonna see what this thing can put down.
All right, the 509 is up and running. Smooth as glass. There's a lot we have to do to this before we actually start making power poles. We do our ubiquitous keep its guts run, right? So we actually get the engine running. We do a few preliminary things. The FiTech has to do its thing. It has to get some fuel through it. It has to start learning. And so far, so good.
Yeah, usually we are verifying an engine for a project or a vehicle. We are, when we're setting engines up, we're checking belts alignment, we're making sure that there's no leaks. So we're using the same EFI and ignition system it's going to use in the vehicle. That way everything is tested, all the variables are eliminated, so it can just go in the vehicle, get wired up, and then we know it's going to run perfect.
What we're going to do now, I think we're ready to rock and roll. We're going to start our poles. Because it's a street engine, pump gas, hydraulic roller, mild cam. You can tell by how creamy smooth it's idling. We're going to make the poles between 2,500 and 6,000.
So right now we are at starting easy, 30 degrees, relatively safe on fuel. So we're at a target of like 12.6. So we're going to go through, we'll make a baseline hit, and then we'll start making adjustments from there and see what we can pick up.
First whack at her here.
Yeah, make a hit on it.
All right.
I'll watch this.
Nice and smooth. Loads in well. Great oil pressure. Nice torque. Nice torque. Smooth operator.
Okay, so.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Starting out, 595.5 pound-feet at 4,200.
We'll take it.
And 569 horsepower right at 5,600. For a W series,
yeah,
that's actually really solid. And this is a street engine, so we are a little more leaning towards lower RPM torque than high RPM horsepower. Sure. But I mean, almost 600 pound-feet, that's solid. And I think so with how safe we are, there's definitely some gains to be made. Probably the first biggest one is going to be timing. With that
always
big chamber, large bore, we're going to be super shallow on timing.
Yeah.
So it's going to sound crazy, but I think big jump. We're at 30. Let's put 4 degrees in it. We are using the FiTech unit to control the timing, so we have a really nice adjustable timing control. You ready? I think we're good.
I'm ready. I'm just waiting on my tuner guy. I love the way it loads in nice and smooth.
Very nice.
Stacking in there, nice. That was a big change.
Man.
That was a nice change right there.
That was big.
All right, let's see what it looks like.
606.5 pound-feet now.
Oh.
So big jump.
We cracked the 600. That's beauteous.
4 degrees of timing swing was a good call.
Yeah.
So we're at 606.5 right at 4,200.
Nice.
And 581.4 horsepower
Oh, all right.
at 5,600. So
That sounds great to me.
yeah. All right, it liked 4. Probably let's put 2 more in it and see. We're not gonna make another big jump, but a smaller jump like 2. We'll see what it does.
We're gonna blast it right where it is, and I think this is probably gonna be our final one. Pretty good.
No, it's a marginal gain. It's a good gain. 608.2.
Yep.
And 576.6, it looks like, at 5,700. So
Yeah.
I'd call that a relatively small gain.
Yeah.
I don't think we would go much more. Like that's telling us right away that we're
Right.
basically towards the limit. If we go any farther,
Right.
probably going to get close to detonation.
Right,
and
when the
stuff like
engine
that.
starts
So,
to become numb to change,
Yeah.
you're close. No, for
So-
all intents and purposes, this is a super nice engine.
Yeah, I mean, we've done 496s that make 630s
Yeah.
for torque with a conventional big block Chevy head, so it is
Yeah.
just inherently a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I would say this is a solid street engine for sure.
Man,
And
this is gonna be great.
I mean, you can't just beat the fact that it looks cool.
This thing's idling at 65 pounds of oil pressure.
Yeah.
To chug away creamy smooth. It's gonna give me an excellent street engine. So
Yeah.
great success.
Nice. She is so fine.
Sing it.
The 409 is made to last.